Hello, it's Mrs. McCullough again, and we're continuing on with our series about how readers compare texts. And so far, we have been talking about the 4 steps. We've been talking about how you list all the details and some of your thoughts from the first text, text A. Then you have to list all the details and your thoughts from the second text, text B, because we are working with more than one text. We're working with at least 2. Then we've talked about how you group that related information and you label those categories. And so we've talked a lot about this T-chart, that you put those details on one side for text A and you put those details on another side for text B. We've also talked about how you read across the rows then to figure out how they are similar or the same. What do they both have in common? That's what we're trying to do when we're comparing 2 completely different texts or topics. We're trying to see how they're the same. We even talked about how if you can say it, you can write it. But you know what we haven't talked about? We have not talked about steps 3 and 4, really. We've not talked about how do you know how to group this information together? And how do you know what category it needs? You see, so far, I've just been giving you the categories. We learned that all literature will have the story elements as the categories down the middle. So that's easy for your stories. But what about when you're reading nonfiction? That's what today's lesson is all about. When you're reading more so about a topic, not a story, a topic, you'll have all these details and you have to figure out how to group and what label it might be. So that's what we're going to try today. And we're going to do it with apples and oranges. That's right. You didn't think you were getting out of this mini lesson series without doing something with apples and oranges, did ya? No, we've been talking about it the whole time. 2 very different things. We're trying to see how they're similar. And so let's just pretend we read some text on these topics. We read a text all about apples, and we read a text all about oranges. And we did steps 1 and 2 already. We listed all the details. Red makes juice, seeds inside, eat it. There's a long stem, it's smooth, it's grown on trees, it has thin skin, it's solid, it's roundish, it's skinnier at the bottom. It's a star. When you cut it in half, people say they can see a star right there from the seeds. It's wet, it grows in northern climates, and it's a fruit. That's everything read about text A. Step number 1, list details about text A. Then we read something all about oranges. Step number 2, list all the details. A button stem, bubbles, grows in southern climates, segments, juicy, grows on trees, makes a juice, seeds inside, thick, orange, perfectly round, bumpy, sphere, fruit, eat it. Okay, so now, step 3. Step 3 is where we have to group things that go together. How does that work? Well, first, you have to just start with something. You just pick one detail from this side, one detail. And it's okay, you can pick the first one. Or pick, as you kind of look across, you pick which one is the easiest, you think. Red. Well, what do we know about red? Well, I mean, it's the outside of the apple that's red, not really the inside. It's kind of the skin that's red. Well, let's see. Are there any other words here that kind of make us think could go with red? Well, I already said it's skin. It has thin skin, and both of those seem to be on the outside. Okay, so is there anything else on the outside? Well, let's see. Makes a juice, seeds inside. No, we eat it. Long stem. Well, the stem is on the outside of the apple. I could start to put those together. What else? It's smooth on the outside. So I'm starting to get a pretty big group here. I better rearrange so I can put these somewhere in my chart. Okay, so it's red, It's thin. It has a thin skin. It has a long stem. And it's smooth. I think that that could be outside. But you know what? I'm not quite ready for this yet because I have to group text A and I need to see first if there's anything else in text B that could go in this. I don't know if this is the name of my category yet or not. I have to do grouping of text A and then grouping of text B before I can give it a name, okay? So, well, the outside of the orange is orange, right? And what else? As I'm looking, button, stem. Oh, that's on the outside. Bubbles, no, that's the inside. Grown on southern climates. Segments, no, that's the inside. Juicy, that's the inside. Grows on trees. Thick skin, right? Like this part. If this is a thin skin, this is a thick skin. That's on the outside. Anything else? It's kind of bumpy. See that skin? It's kind of bumpy. That's on the outside. I have several that I could put for oranges. So I'm thinking that might be a group. That might be one of our groupings. So now step 4, label the category. I'm going to put it right there in the middle. You see, this is looking like our T-chart. Remember all the details of text A, all the details of text B, and the categories down the middle. Okay, let's try another one. Let's see. Well, what could I do for apples? Well, they're grown on trees, right? That's how they're made. Well, what else? You eat it? Well, that's not how it's made. That's something different. So makes a juice. Maybe. Well, that's not how an apple's made. That's what you do with it later. Let's see. Roundish. Oh, I think that's kind of the outside again. I'm going to put that up here. Add that in. Got a few things up there. Star, that's the inside. Oh, here we go. Grows in northern climates. It grows on trees and it's grown in northern climates, like the northern part of the United States. Well, let me see. That could be a group. It's only 2. It's not as many as what we had up here, but that's fine. You don't have to have a whole bunch. So you have to have more than one, okay? So now I'm wondering, do we have, oh, oranges are grown on trees. What else? Oh, there's one hiding. And oranges are grown in the southern climates. Ooh, I see. Okay, so that's what we have to do. We have to see if we can find a group for text A and a group for text B. And once you find a group, then you have to label it. You have to tell what category this is. And it grows in northern climates. It grows on trees. That's how an apple is made. That's my label, okay? So we still have all of these left, and I would like for you to help me, okay? Let's see. We've got outside, and we've got how it's made. So now we need to look for a new grouping. But this is kind of intriguing. This part star, you see the star we mentioned right there? Where do we find that? On the inside, did you say? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is there anything else that would make a group for inside? What did you see? Oh, it says inside on this one. Is that what you were saying? It says seeds inside. Yep, the star is made by the seeds on the inside. And as I'm looking at it, what about this one? Wet? Yeah, where is it wet? On the inside. Good, good, good. Okay. And it's one big solid piece. You notice that with that picture? I'm thinking that's a good category. Now, we're not ready for the label yet because all we did was make a group for text A. Now we've got to see, is there anything over in text B that could be in this group? If there's not anything that could be in this group, then we need to refigure this. We need to think about it in a different way, okay? So, well, there's that one again. You see it? Seeds inside. What else? Did you say juicy? Yeah, it is very juicy. You squeeze it and all the juice will come out. You know what I'm noticing? We even talked about it right here. Segments. See how this is one big solid and this is little segments? You can like peel them apart. That's on the inside. Is there anything else that you see that could possibly be inside? Makes a juice, perfectly round. Oh, I see one that goes up in another group. You see that? Did your brain tell you that? Yeah, it's round on the outside, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to stick that up there. You see anything else? Bubbles? What? Bubbles? Look at those bubbles. You see those little bubbles of juice? That's on the inside. Sphere, is that the inside? Outside, you say? We keep finding some to put in other groups. So good. What else? I think you're right. I think that is a pretty good group. Okay, we're kind of jumbling them up together. So we've got inside. Now, if we wanted to make more room, I could move these around. I could take up two rows so that we could see all of them. And if you're doing this on your own T-chart and you're writing it down, you'll have a lot more space, right? If you were doing this with your own sticky notes, you were using index cards or pieces of paper, you'd have a lot more space. So you'd make it so that you could see all of them that go with that group. Okay, you see anything else? Could we make another group? What'd you say? You eat it. Okay. Anything else that goes with eat it? Make a pie, but those aren't our details. Oh, you make juice. Okay. And what's that? Fruit. Yeah, it's a fruit. So fruit, part of our food groups, right? Okay, so we've got a group here. And this time we found it on text B first. Can we find that on text A? Oh, some of the same things. Eat it, makes a juice, fruit. We've got one left. Skinnier at the bottom. Where do you think that should go? Outside, you say? Up here? Yeah. Okay. So we've got a group for text A and a group for text B. Now we need a label. What do you think we ought to label it? It makes a juice. It's fruit, like our food groups, and you eat it. It's what you do with it? Okay. What you do with an actual apple. Okay, guys. So what we did today was the other steps in that process. We've been getting really good at listing the details. We've been getting really good at looking across and seeing how they're similar. But what we hadn't done yet was we hadn't started to group them and label. And so that's going to be your assignment. That's what you're going to do for your assignment in this series, okay? So let me show you your student resource. This page here represents just an open T-chart. You have text A that you're reading or a topic you're studying. You have text B that you're reading or a topic that you're studying. But what you don't know this time, you don't know the middles. You don't know what the categories are. So you're going to try to work this out. Now remember, you follow the procedure here. Step 1, list the details of text A. Step 2, list the details of text B. Well, I've already done that for you. Okay, we've got fall in New York City. That's what NYC stands for, New York City. And we've got winter in New York City. So they're very similar, but they've got some differences, right? So We're going to see these two different topics. Do they have any groupings? Do they have any categories? And so what I would recommend is to put each one of these details on its own little piece of paper. Now, I printed out cards, but you can just write these details on scrap pieces of paper, cut them up, because you want to move them around. That's the secret in getting your details organized, is you have to actually move them around so that you can start to group them together, okay? So I would rewrite it or print it and cut it apart, but most people don't have a printer. I would just rewrite them on their own little pieces of paper and then start to group them. And so we're going to follow, actually, let me show you here. We're going to follow this. We're going to group related information and see what you can find for text A. Then you need to see, can you find anything in that same grouping for text B? And if you can, then you got to give it a category. So get you a whole new piece of paper and write the label for the category that you think it is for that group, okay? Then start looking again. See if you can find a new group for text A and another one for text B. See if you could find 4 possible groups for these details, all right? And so you could just write it down. You could organize it, take a photo, send it to your teacher that way. You could do this in a Google Doc if you wanted to. It's totally up to you. But we're really working on grouping those details and giving them a label. If you were in Mrs. McCullough's class, that would be your assignment. But your teacher might have an even better idea.